Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of UA Eats. I'm UA, and today we're going to be eating something that I hear I can't leave LA without eating, the French dip sandwich. Now, I love me a good French dip sandwich, and whenever I tend to see them at food festivals, I always grab one. Whether it's in Hawaii or New York or Chicago, whenever I see French dip sandwich on a menu, I feel like I'm gonna have a good time. But to be honest, call me uneducated, but I had no idea that French dip sandwiches were from LA. Like, you know, the name, French dip sandwich. I thought it was from France or maybe Montreal or something. I had no idea it was a California SoCal thing, at least in origin. And I hear that the best French dip sandwich ever is the place that invented the French dip sandwich, Philippe the original, or at least that's what they claim. I hear there's another great place called Kohls French dip sandwich, and they also are the best French dip sandwich, and they also invented the French dip sandwich, or at least so they claim. There's two competing claims, and who knows who's telling the truth? I don't know. I mean, could they both be right? Is it possible they both invented it at the same time? Probably not, right? But you know what? I am not so concerned with which one is the first place. All I care about is which one makes a better sandwich. Taste is always going to be king on this channel, so you know what? We're here at Philippe first, so let's hit up Philippe first and see how it is. Alright guys, it is not even peak time. It's like before 12, which is not really peak time for lunch, and just look at this huge line behind already, so hopefully it's going to be a good spot. Alright guys, this place is pretty crowded. If you saw that line, then it makes sense that it would be crowded to find a space too. So as you can see, it's pretty much slammed everywhere. It's really hard to find a table. But luckily, someone just left, so I was able to just snag a spot. And all the haters who are gonna judge the mask know that I wear the mask when I'm in very crowded places, like I'm in line. I still feel a little bit germophobic, so it's my explanation, and love it or hate it. But it's time to eat, so mask off, and let's take a look at the famous Philippe French dip. Allegedly the first ever French dip sandwich, either them or Kohls. So here is the legendary Philippe, or please let me know how to say this name. I am not from California or LA. Is it Philippe? But yeah, this is the legendary Philippe French dip sandwich with some extra piping hot jus on the side. Now, I actually always thought that the whole point of a French dip sandwich is that they always give you jus to dip it in, hence the French dip sandwich. But apparently, the sandwich comes pre-dipped, and you have to ask for extra jus on the side if you want it. Although this French dip bread looks nice and crispy and crunchy. This is some nice looking roast beef. Looks like it's sliced pretty thinly. Looks really fresh and really juicy. Can't wait to eat this. I got a nice local tip from some friendly locals about making sure you get some hot peppers on the side, so hopefully this won't blow my face off. So let's dig in, why don't we? The famous Philippe French dip sandwich. You know, I was expecting to have to chew that more, but that French dip sandwich, that roast beef, it just kind of like melts in your mouth. I mean, usually when I eat roast beef, I kind of am anticipating like a chew, and I'm not against it. Sometimes chewing some great meat is a great way to like really savor the flavor. But in this case, that roast beef just melts in your mouth. It just really comes apart like in your mouth. Like, let me just show you. I just ripped the piece out. I wish I had like a flashlight or like a light near me, but just look at how thinly sliced that beef is. If you shine a light through it, you could probably sort of see through it a little bit. It's some really thin meat. Okay, so the meat on its own, a little bit dry, tender, yes, but dry, but the rest of the sandwich is just amazing. Like, that jus sauce just combines perfectly with it. It kind of soaks the bread, makes it nice and spongy, almost like custard. And I think there's like some spicy mustard on this as well. It's kind of hard to see. I'm a little bit colorblind, so my bad if it's easy to tell, but I can't really tell the difference between what's jus soaked and what's mustard soaked. The bread is nice and soft. It kind of reminds me of the bread that they use in Philly cheesesteaks. It kind of has that perfect give to it, although it is more cushiony and more spongy than cheesecake bread, and that kind of pairs with the drier roast beef well, if that makes sense. And actually, let's try more of the mustard. Now I hear the mustard here is supposed to be pretty famous, so let's try this mustard. Why don't we? Oh, 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 oh. Oh man. Oh man, that mustard is intense. I feel like this is like pure horseradish. It's like wasabi straight to your brain. It may just look like normal mustard, but look at that. Doesn't that kind of have like a wasabi-like vibe to it? But I don't know. It's almost like a good pain. It hurts really good. Maybe my sinuses are all messed up from all that pollution on the East Coast from Canada the past week. So maybe this is just what the doctor ordered. They should call this like kick you in the face mustard. Ooh. Ooh. You know, it's not as bad the second time. The second time, when you're expecting it, it's kind of nice. Let's see how this does dipped, though. Alright, so we just dipped it in the extra jus. It doesn't look like most people are doing that. You know, I always thought that that's how you're supposed to eat French dip. Like, I thought it was like a French dip. But really, it seems like most people are eating it as a French pre-dipped sandwich. But we just dipped it, so let's see how it is. Okay, so I can kind of see why most people aren't getting an extra dip cup, even though that's like stereotypically how you eat French dip sandwiches, but I guess in LA, do as the Romans do, and that's not how most people eat it here. I was really expecting it to be kind of like the Chicago beef sandwich. The Chicago Italian beef sandwich, you can get it wet, you can get it dipped, and if you get it dipped, the Chicago Italian beef sandwich kind of goes through like a metamorphosis. Like the bread gets spongy and cake like a savory custard. The meat also absorbs more of the juices, and it's just fantastic. But I guess it's just a different recipe, so when you end up dipping this French dip sandwich, it kind of just tastes a little bit too much. It just tastes wet, so the locals always know best. Oh, actually, let's try one more thing.
Yeah. It would derail.
All that really did was just make the mustard more mild. Like the savory meat juices, it kind of just masked the spiciness of the mustard a little bit. But hey, if you ever found that you added too much mustard, just dip it in the jus to moderate the spice.
There was so many pieces that came off to service the 44-49 when it was up there for real fair. The tender
I'm getting used to it, and now it's just too good. Now I just can't even go back. Mustard will never be the same ever again after this day. Oh, I almost forgot. Oh man. I guess some people just have really high spice tolerance. Oh man, that is way too hot for me. Those yellow peppers are like blowing my mouth off. Makes that mustard look like a walk in the park. Oh. But anyways, we got a taste of the Philippe original French dip sandwich. So yeah, let's finish this and then let's head to Kohls and see how their French dip sandwich is.
I think that chili too is really good.
They're very spicy.
Oh yeah.
They're very spicy, like blow my mouth off. Yeah. Question. This place, how do I say it? Philippe? Felipe. Okay, so it's Felipe. Wow, guys, we just left Felipe's and we couldn't finish the whole sandwich. We need to leave some room for Kohls, so we got some of it in a doggy bag. But yeah, that was a pretty good sandwich. It wasn't my favorite sandwich ever, but it was good, and I'm glad I tried it. But let's see how Kohls compares. Come on, let's go. So I actually did realize that Kohls doesn't open until 4 because I'm dumb and I didn't check the hours beforehand. But yeah, I guess before then, let's just hang out in LA for a bit. So why don't we just do that? All right, guys, it is now 4 o'clock, so Kohls should be open now, and we are here at Kohls, another claimant to the title of creator of the French dip sandwich. And in fact, this place, Kohls, like they're really plugging that claim everywhere. It's pretty much all over all their signs and everything. But yeah, just like Philippe's, they've been around for a long time. In this case, since 1908. I think Philippe was 1920 or so. It looks like they're not quite open, but they're about to. So once they open, let's get some food and then we'll pass our verdict. Okay, so looking at the menu at Kohls, similar to the Chicago Italian beef sandwich, they have varying dip levels, and it looks like they also sell pastrami here, so gotta try that sometime. They have different cheeses, but I hear Swiss is the most traditional. Alright, so it was a little bit loud and a little bit dark in there. I did do my best to make it work, but I figured for the sake of lighting and for the sake of the video, it would be better to get this to go and eat it in the car. But don't worry, we're not going far. Come on, let's go eat. All right, guys, we just made it back to our car. So let's check out the Kohls French dip sandwich, the second contender for first and best French dip sandwich ever. All right, so I gotta say the Kohls sandwich is already looking and smelling really promising. I kind of wish they could invent like some sort of smell-o-vision so you could share smells through the screen, even through the wrapper. It just smells so heavenly of beef drippings, and just look at it kind of like soaking through the wrapper a little bit. Also, they gave us some extra jus here in a cup. They gave us some extra jus. Oh man, that extra jus just smells amazing, even though it just looks like beef broth. Ah man. And just like Philippe's, obligatory house mustard. Can't wait to compare this one to the Philippe's one. It's kind of cool that they wrapped it in like this fall newspaper, probably because that's what they did back then. Like, I think that's also similar to fish and chips. Like, fish and chips was also sold in newspaper until people figured out that newspaper ink is bad for you. So now I think they tend to sell fish and chips in fake newspaper wrapper. But guys, just right off the bat, this sandwich is looking and smelling better than Philippe's for sure. Like, everything about it just looks better. The bread just looks like better quality. Like, I feel like this is bread that would pass the cheesesteak test. Like, it's got some crispiness, yet some give at the same time. Like, the perfect amount of squishiness without being too soft. This meat, oh man, the Philippe's meat was thinly sliced, and you could almost shine a light through it, but I just get a feeling that this meat is somehow better in a way. The way that the jus soaked into the bread, oh man, this bread, like, just looking, like, becoming kind of like more custardy in a savory way. Very reminiscent of Italian beef. And this cheese, too. This cheese just looks like better quality. Even though it's just Swiss cheese, it looks like a better Swiss cheese. Like, it just looks nice and stretchy. Just look at that Swiss cheese. Just look. Look, it's like I keep pulling it, and it finally stops. Oh, that is good Swiss cheese. Even though it is blasphemy to put Swiss cheese on a cheesesteak, if you put that Swiss cheese on my cheesesteak, I'm not gonna complain at all. Oh, that is just absolutely to die for. I thought the Philippe sandwich was good. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was like spectacular. I still preferred cheesesteaks and Italian beefs and pastramis and other great sandwiches I've had. Guys, I think I'm gonna put this up with all the great sandwiches that I've had in my life. It is just excellent. The beef is sliced real thin. It doesn't quite come apart in your mouth like the one at Philippe's does, but it has like a pleasant chew. Like, I almost like it this way because you're rewarded with chewing that delicious meat. When it comes to great sandwiches, the bread is often key. The bread often will make or break a sandwich. Just absolutely delicious, freshly baked bread, possibly made in-house or from a great supplier. But it's perfect. It's not too soft. Like, there's some crunch, but it's not so crunchy that you lose the chew. Just so delicious. Once again, this delicious stringy cheese, and it's a Swiss cheese, but it's kind of like a sharp Swiss cheese. It just complements everything else perfectly. I feel like some fried onions would take this over the moon. But then it wouldn't be a French dip sandwich anymore, would it? It would basically be a LA version of a Philly cheesesteak. Let's try it with that mustard. Oh yes. Yes. Why is LA so good at mustard? I don't get it. It's very similar to the Philippe's one. Very, very spicy. It's got a straight kick straight to your sinuses. But this mustard, oh man, amazing fresh horseradish flavor. Just like eating like a wasabi bomb. Do you like wasabi and horseradish? If you don't, maybe skip this. But if you do, it's just out of this world. Hands down the best mustard I've ever had. And honestly, in a weird way, I feel like it's good for my health. We had all this terrible pollution in New Jersey from the Canada wildfires. And yeah, maybe from that, my sinuses were a little bit messed up from the irritation. I don't know, I feel like I'm like cured just from this. Amazing. One last thing to try, dipping it in extra jus. Honestly, this sandwich is not disappointing me at all. I now see why at Philippe, they only give you extra jus when you ask for it. They know deep down that it's a little bit too much. But at Kohls, unsolicited, they provide the jus in a cup because they know you're gonna love it. They know you're gonna love those drippy juices. They know that it's just gonna enhance that bread, make it like a delicious meat sponge, and just make the meat even juicier. Absolutely delicious. It reminds me of like a cheesesteak, but a West Coast take on it, and I love it. Anyways, we have half a sandwich left, but we do need to hit the road. Before doing so, we will pass our verdict. Now, as for which of them is the first French dip sandwich ever, I really don't care. Honestly, who cares who invented it? It's who perfected it that matters. But for who's better, Philippe's or Kohls? Kohls won this in a slam dunk. Everything about the Philippe sandwich, Kohls is just doing better. The bread is better. I almost kind of prefer the meat better, even though the Philippe's meat was more tender. The Kohls meat was just more satisfying to eat beyond just tenderness. The cheese was better. The jus was better. The mustard is comparable, but honestly, I even think the Kohls mustard is better. It's more spicy. It's got more of a kick. Now, I think of the two, I think Philippe's is more of a tourist attraction. The line there is just insane. Even at sort of off-peak hours, there were tons of people. In fact, it kind of reminded me of Kat's Deli with its cafeteria setting. Kohls was kind of more cool neighborhood, cool bar vibe. So as a tourist, it maybe wasn't as welcoming. And lots of people were there not just for sandwiches. Some people were there just to relax and drink and have a nice relaxing time with the barkeep. But I gotta say, in this battle of French dip sandwiches, Kohls is the indisputable winner. They won in a knockout, and if you're in LA, definitely check out Kohls. You won't regret it. Just make sure you check the time beforehand. But anyways, guys, I think that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching me eat some great eats here in Los Angeles. If you like my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. That way you stay up to date whenever I post another video. Until next time, I'll see you later.